Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the AI and Design Thinking webinar today. And it gives me immense pleasure to introduce Ms. Aditi Parekh, who is working as an associate professor at School of Design, World University of Design, along with teaching in various programs of School of Design. Aditi is also part of Artificial Intelligence and Design Innovation Hub, an initiative by WUD as a move to provide futuristic design education to its students and lead various workshops on AI and design thinking, which is also organized by WUD. So, Aditi is an architect and an industrial designer based out of Delhi. She possesses over 10 years of experience into domain of designing. Her formal education includes bachelor's in architecture from SVIT from Gujarat University and master's in industrial design from School of Planning and Architecture in New Delhi. So I would request Ms. Aditi to start with the session and introduce herself and share her experience and practical knowledge on design, what she has gained over so many years of her experience.
Thank you so much, Tarun, for the wonderful introduction, and thank you, Univariety, for giving us this opportunity. Welcome all the participants in this workshop on artificial intelligence and design thinking. So as Tarun already introduced and given my brief bio, I am an architect and industrial designer. Design as a field, any of the creative field is has a lot of misconception, because many people always think that design is all about creating beautiful things, creating beautiful drawings or sketching, painting, drawing, right? But in today's world, when we are talking about, thinking based innovation process, we are talking about out of the box ideas and thinking. We are going away from the regular linear kind of a thinking and more towards going towards iterative and creative thinking. So in today's time, design has grown much more beyond only making the outer shells of products, and it has also been also integrated into various different fields, not only to create beautiful products, but also to solve problems, also to address some of the challenges which are there in today's world. So design is not limited to only the people who are actually perceiving or who are into design field, but it has become a thinking process. Design, we do not consider design as a final outcome. It's a process through which we are trying to generate ideas and concepts which are out of the box and which can address the problems that are there in today's world. So, for me, design is all about a process and not about the final product. And that is how this beautiful process of design can be integrated with a lot of different fields. And it could be any field, right? Starting from healthcare to child development to academics, a lot of fields which are more and more integrating and adapting the creative way of thinking, which is called design thinking. So today, that's what we are focusing on, how the emerging technology or the technology which is already there, which is AI, artificial intelligence, is also integrating with design thinking and how it is developing further to create innovative solutions, not only products and systems, but also creative solutions for various fields. So this is what today's workshop is all about. I'll just quickly share my presentation.
Also, Aditi, while you start the presentation, I would like to also introduce Ms. Astha Deshpande, who is with us as a presenter. And I would like to introduce her that she's an expert in accessory designing. She has done accessory designer from NIFT. She has worked as a visual merchandiser and space planner in prominent retail companies like Pantaloons, Fab India, City Life, after pursuing her MBA. She has over 7 years of experience into creating window designs, space layouts, store designs for retail sector integrating design with the retail marketing and giving a consumer experience to the retail sector. So I would request Asta to just speak a few words about herself and her experience into retail industry as a designer.
Thank you, Tarun. Good evening, everyone. I am working as assistant professor in WUD. I switched from retail into academics around 2 years ago, and I consider myself, to be still learning. There's a lot to learn still, and in the retail sector, I was working with prominent brands, creating their window displays, understanding the insights from the consumer's point of view, and basically how the practicality takes place, learning about all those insights and inputs. So it was a great learning experience. Now I'm extending that experience and somehow incorporating that in the projects that I show to the students, so that they could get real-time and practical exposure.
Thank you, Asta. So Aditi, I'll just present the slides so you can start with the session.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, here you go.
Okay, thank you so much, Tarun. So again, welcome to all of you in this workshop on artificial intelligence and design thinking. Today, this particular workshop will be conducted by me, Astha, and there is another colleague of ours who is Rohit, and he'll be joining soon. He has some personal challenges today, so he's just stuck somewhere. So this is the flow of presentation for today. We'll be starting with artificial intelligence. Brief introduction about artificial intelligence, then we'll be going towards brief introduction of design thinking. Then we will also understand the integration. I'll just switch off my camera because I think it's coming in between the slides. Yeah, so then we will understand the role of design thinking in AI-based innovation, how and in which particular direction both these fields are going towards. That will be the way forward. And finally, we will also be having a small demo for, to understand, for the hands-on understanding about how design thinking as tools is applied for AI-based innovation. So the presentation, we want to keep the presentation quite interactive. So there might be few questions in between. Please do not hesitate to put your answers into the chat box. That will also encourage us to, understand the audience. And also that will, we all can learn from each other. It's not like that we are experts in this and we cannot learn further. So there are a few questions to make this presentation more interactive. So please be open for it. So the first question that I would like to ask you is, as we are, starting with the presentation, the first question is, what is AI for you? Not a dictionary definition, but according to you, how do you perceive AI? What exactly it is for you? Is it something which is out of this world? Is it something which is going to help you? Is it something which is, you are very familiar with? Any answers? You can put your answers in the chat box. Okay, so somebody is writing something which can automate and augment machines' intelligence, making machine think like humans. Excellent. It's a man-made wonder. Fantastic. So many answers. Okay. Human-made intelligence, making machine think like human. AI is data-based analysis, robotics, utilization of robots, machines, which could make our lives easy, enable computer or machine to think. It's a system that think by itself, reduce the mental effort, the augmented reality of tomorrow. I think there are a lot of different answers which are coming in, and they are kind of pretty relevant, right? Because AI is finally about making our lives easier. That's what AI is here for. But how I used to perceive AI was this. In the beginning, when I was not familiar with AI at all, it was a mystery, it was amusement and wonder. And I always had these two types of thoughts, and I think most of the people also would have two types of thoughts. That one, it would come and solve all our problems, or it would come and destroy all of us, because it is something, it's like a Terminator-like scenario, right? Where the Terminator would come and destroy the human race. And from where all these thoughts come from, in my opinion, is to be very frank, from many of the movies, right? We all watch a lot of sci-fi movies in which AI are some of the characters. So can you guys name few of the characters which are your favorite characters from AI movies? Do you remember your favorite character which is based on AI? So I'm a huge sci-fi movie fan, and that's how this particular question is there. A lot of my understanding, not understanding, but a lot of my notion was based on a lot of movies that I saw. So I'm getting answers: WALL-E, systems and processes and use of technology to help empower men, Iron Man, Captain America, iRobot, Fantastic, Small Wonder. That was my favorite one. Chitty of Robo, Daryl movie, Small Wonder we already covered. So yeah. So that's what I was coming to, that there are a lot of different characters in sci-fi movies which have helped us in building the notion of AI. If you guys have seen Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which is one of my favorite one, there was a depressed kind of a robo, which was Marvin, and he used to be always depressed. He used to do all the work, but then he was always depressed. WALL-E, who is there to save the world, who is there to revive the whole world along with Eva. Some of the very famous characters of Star Wars, the robot. See, in all these movies are actually giving us ideas that AI is finally all about the robots, right? AI is something which need to have a body. It needs to have a human-like emotion. And from there, we have developed this particular notion that AI is all about thinking like human. And it's like machine who is thinking like human. And that's what AI is all about. And that is how we keep on connecting AI with something which is going to overpower our world, the machine who is going to overpower the human race. So from where it all started, it's not like that we haven't thought about AI before few years. It was always there in our imagination. We can see some of the text also which are from Ramayana and Mahabharata, in which there are a lot of automations which are happening, right? We have flying planes, we don't know whether it's a myth or whether it was a reality, but yeah, it's there in the text. Similarly, these kind of characters and these kind of automations are there in many of the folklores, in many of the mythologies. And we have proofs of very initial automation, which are like prototypes for AI-based systems. One of the very famous person who invented a very beautiful automation system was Al-Jazari. And he was basically from around Turkey. And we can see a lot of different automations which are created by him. And from there, the recent history, which is kind of directly connected with AI, it started in approximately 17th century. The push was given when they started understanding the calculations, the automatic calculations, how we used to do maths earlier, that started changing. And for that, they started developing machines. Then Charles Babbage designed the very famous first computer, which was like of the size of a room. Alan Turing, if you know the name, is considered kind of a father of AI, because this was the time of Second World War, and during this time there were a lot of back and forth messages which used to happen between both the parties. But to break that particular code, and that used to happen by a lot of coding system, and they used to change the coding every day. So to break the code, either they need to have lot of manpower who can sit every day and break the code so that you know what they are going to do next. So during this time, Alan Turing, a British scientist, a mathematician, he developed a prototype for a code breaking machine, which later on became a prototype also for artificial intelligence. And from there, that point onwards, there were a lot of up and down in terms of the direction in which the AI is going. People thought, as many of us also might be thinking, that it will just come and solve all our problems. People during 1950s and 60s, they all thought that AI is here, AI will be here within next 10, 20 years, and we will have everything automated, we will be going towards Mars and all those things. But that didn't happen, right? Because they were over ambitious about it. They didn't think that AI is not only about something which is superpower. It's not finally a god. It's something which has to evolve slowly and steadily. So that's where people started understanding it, and the whole direction for AI started going into the smaller developments, smaller inventions, like a computer which can defeat a human into any sort of game like chess or Jeopardy, or a simple robotic device which can clean your room automatically by actually finding the dirt or the dust which is there on the floor. And we have reached to a stage where we are talking about cars which are self-driven cars, which do not need any human interaction or human interference in driving. So we have reached a long way from starting from 1950s, which was kind of a first landmark idea or the concept which was developed for AI till here. But during that particular time, people actually thought about lot of different ways of development of AI, which unfortunately, fortunately, hasn't happened. Can we play the video, Tarun?
Yeah, sure.
Could machines ever think as human beings do?
Most people say no.
You're not most people.
Well, the problem is you're asking a stupid question.
I am?
Of course, machines can't think as people do. The machine is different from a person. Means they think differently. The interesting question is, just because something thinks differently from you, does that mean it's not thinking? No, we allow humans to have such divergences from one another. You like strawberries, I hate ice skating. You cry at sad films, I am allergic to pollen. What is the point of different tastes, different preferences, if not to say that our brains work differently, that we think differently? And if we could say that about one another, then why can't we say the same thing for brains built of copper and wire, steel?
And that's this big paper you wrote. What's it called?
The Imitation Game.
Right, that's what it's about.
Would you like to play?
Play?
It's a game, a test of sorts, for determining whether something is a machine or a human being.
How do I play?
Well, there's a judge and a subject. The judge asks questions, and depending on the subject's answers, determines who he is talking with, what he is talking with, and all you have to do is ask me a question.
Yeah, thank you, Tarun. So this was actually a clip from a very famous movie called Imitation Games, which is based on life of Alan Turing. Please watch it. It's very, very interesting, and it gives you the idea about where it all originated from. So in this game, that's what Alan Turing is promoting, that if we are saying that each and every human being thinks differently, and they also have to learn how to think. Similarly, the machines, if we try to teach machine how to think, it may start thinking not completely as the human being, a bit differently. But if the machine is thinking in any of the direction, can we say that if it is not thinking like a normal human being, it is not thinking? It is still thinking. It's just that the way it is thinking is completely different. So that was the, that's the major spark, the origin from where the idea of AI came into the picture. A machine which can think. Now, it's not necessary that the machine has to think always like a human. But maybe the way the machines are created, it can think in a particular direction which can maybe help or which can work, which can be aligned with the requirements of the human. So in today's time, this is what the AI is based upon. This is the concept on which the AI is based upon. That make the machine think. Maybe it will not be able to think like human. Maybe it will be able to think in a different way. Maybe also in a way that the humans are not able to think. So that's what the concept is on which today's AI is based upon. In today's time, we cannot say that we have reached to a level where AI is overpowering human. And also, in my opinion, human race also has this particular, kind of a, we can say it's like a hunch, or it's like a survival kind of need, that it will not allow the machines to think beyond a certain point. So in today's time, machine and AI is all about data science, which is all about data, gather more and more data, feed it into a machine, create certain kind of algorithm, create certain kind of processes and methods, so that machine can understand or analyze those data which has been fed. From there, it can further on structure some of the data into a certain processes and fulfill a particular task. Second direction for AI is machine learning, which is all about making or actually trying to teach a machine how to learn, how to think. So again, you feed a lot of data into it, you put some certain kind of algorithm, it is doing certain type of task, but the next level of it is to teach the machine that if more data is fed, how do you need to analyze these data based on the previous algorithms and systems which are created for you. The third direction is artificial narrow intelligence, where we are saying that the machine is kind of thinking like human, but the human brain is very, very complicated machine. It has n number of neurons, n number of junctions which are connected to each other, and that is how this web of neurons are working as a single brain. Now, if we want to replicate the human brain into machine, that is a very difficult process. So rather than that, let's break down the brain and let's see that, okay, one part of the brain can do this particular task. Can we have that particular part replicated into a machine so that a machine is not able to do all the different tasks, but it is able to do a single task in a much more interesting and much more fulfilled manner, like playing a chess or browsing through some web pages or understanding your behavior pattern also. For the future of AI, this is what we are targeting, which is big data, where right now we are saying that we have limitation in terms of the memory of the machine, the way the server is able to handle the data, the way the server is able to process the data. And we are trying to increase this facility or this particular power of machine through which it can actually store more and more data, analyze more and more data, and process more and more data, and then can fit into a certain algorithm and process. So right now, it's like smaller amount of data are being fed into machine to create or to generate certain algorithms and processes. For the future, we are talking about big data, where more and more data will be fed into a machine and it will try to actually process a huge number of data. Deep learning is like machine learning, but again, on much more deeper level. Right now, machine cannot have emotions apart from 1 or 2 robotic experimentations that have been done. The machine is not completely able to give answer like a human being. If you ask him, what is your name? It will reply. If you ask him, where have you been today? It will reply. But if you will think, or if you will ask him that, okay, how was your mood yesterday? It might not be able to reply instantly because it is not able to process the emotional level connection. It is not able to process the emotions and a very vibrant and very iterative way of thinking which a human brain has. And the final destination is artificial general intelligence, which is like completely making machine think like human. So that is the ultimate goal which many of the people are having. A long way to go maybe, but yeah, the work is in progress for this also. So this is what people are expecting, in which direction AI would go. Some people are saying it will gain scary effectiveness and it will reach to a level where it will compete with humans. Some people are saying that it will, the excitement which it is bringing, that will fade away. And the way we are having a lot of different applications which are running on the basis of AI, the same thing will go on. And many people are also saying that the way the previous AI bubbles have been burst, the similar thing would happen in the future as well. Though many of the companies and many of the people who are working in actual AI, they are predicting the first option, which is it will go to a level where it might be a bit difficult to handle AI, or if it reaches to certain people, it might be harmful to human race. But yeah, there are always pros and cons about all the different inventions which has happened in the past. So this was the definition which was given by the person who coined this particular term, John McCarthy, that AI is science and engineering of making intelligent machines. So again, machines which are intelligent like human. The modern time definition is it's the science and engineering of making intelligent machines, especially intelligent computer programs. it is related to the similar task of using computers to understand human intelligence. But AI does not have to confine itself to methods that are so biologically observed. So what exactly here they are trying to say is that the AI, as we are perceiving it usually in the robotic form, in the form which is very human-like, it might not be there. The AI that we are talking about right now in the current time period is more about the programs which are into certain devices, which maybe they are maybe talking to us. They may be expressive. They may express like a normal human, but they might not have the human-like figure always, or they might not become our servants, or they might not become the robots that we have seen usually in the movies. So after that, again, one more question I would like to ask. Could you recall some of the, as we saw earlier, that AI is not only about, the machines or the human-like figures or the robots. So can you recall some of the AI embedded systems or products which are around you, which you might be using? Alexa, fantastic. Anything else? Where else do you think there is AI?
We have Siri.
Siri, fantastic. Somebody's writing mobile phone. Everyone is writing Alexa. Everyone is using Alexa. Google Home, fantastic. Siri, fantastic. I bet it's more than what you think, huh? Washing machines. Yeah, sorry.
We do have Cortana in Windows.
Sorry?
Cortana in Windows.
Perfect. Tesla, vacuum cleaner, FB, Google Assistants, Gmail, ATMs, fantastic. Google AI, automated cars, ovens. Univariety also is using AI, fantastic. Smart TV. So yeah, there are a lot of different answers which we are getting. Thank you so much for that. Web chats, dishwashers, smart lights. So yes, if we start thinking about it, AI in smaller or larger scale is definitely around us already. It's not like it's very, very far away, and it's not like it's only with some of the big companies and big organizations. It is there in our homes. So as everyone described, the smartphones and computers in face recognition, through image recognition, the mobile camera is understanding different images and giving you different lenses and filters through which you can click beautiful and very, very sharp and effective photos. Social media, I hope everyone would have noticed that if I, search for, let's say, a TV on Amazon or on any of the e-commerce platform, when I go to my social media platform, for an example, Insta or FB, or I would be searching anything else, I start getting advertisements which are related to TV. The people who are selling TV, the companies who are selling TV, right? So it's the whole behavior and interaction that we are having on internet. It's all being tracked. Netflix and all the different music and video streaming platforms, Amazon Prime, Disney, anything, and name it and you have it. So all these platforms are actually again tracking what you have seen earlier, and based on that, they are suggesting in terms of what you can watch next. Home automation, I think everyone has written Alexa, no need to describe that. Navigation and travel. So again, Google Maps, earlier, the way we used to roam around in a city is completely different, right? We do not need to ask for direction to anyone. E-commerce. And at the larger scale, these were some of the examples of AI based systems which were around us. But on the larger scale also, banking and finance, if you go to most of the banking websites, the chatting column that you find, that chatting column right now is operated not by humans but by AI based system. So it will give you some specific options for any sort of question, and then you click on it and then it will take you towards the next particular section. Similarly, for the investment trends, vigilance, everywhere they are using AI. Manufacturing and construction, the big time push has been given by AI to manufacturing and construction. There are a lot of countries which have already built 3D printed houses, 3D printed buildings, maybe in a smaller scale, but yeah, that has already started. Similarly, for the manufacturing, for defect analysis, diagnosis, everything is done by AI. It's also called as Industry 4.0, where we are talking about human-machine integration. Robotics, I hope everyone has seen Sophia, and she actually gave a very interesting answer to one of the questions which was asked by one of the anchor. So I think he asked that, what do you think about the notion of robots which is going on? So she answered that, yeah, that's true. I'm going to come and destroy the world. So it has a capacity of mocking people, which is very, very interesting and which is very, very threatening also, because that means that she has already started thinking like a person. The emotion, the mocking, the humor, which is, which is a very quick reaction to a particular question, that was not there in many of the AI systems and robot till now. Healthcare is another very, very emerging field, because we all saw the pandemic and it has completely changed our lives. It has completely changed. The healthcare also was working. So a lot of development is happening in which the AI can actually detect a particular disease before actually it is happening. Similarly, for the preventive care and pharma also. Defense, security, surveillance. We all have heard that how China is already keeping watch on each and every citizen. So similarly, many of the countries are going to follow the similar kind of a system. Automobile and transportation, again, no need to describe. So this was about a very brief introduction of AI. The next, we will be going towards design thinking. So again, the same question, what is design for you? You can give any answer. There is no need for a dictionary definition of or anything. Because creativity, design, everyone has their own perception about it. So you can give any sort of answer. Creating something, fantastic. Structures, provide solution for problem, fantastic. Anything creative, creating systems and processes, innovative process, utility, ideas, any object that can take care of my requirement, fantastic. Layout, ease of use, framework, anything which has creativity, imaginative, out of the box thinking, mind mapping, solving daily problems creatively, appearance, think, any of form usable, prototype, making program for anything or structuring. Fantastic. I think every one of you are completely correct in your own way. Design is combination of all the things that you have mentioned here. So again, design as a profession is a very new profession, but creativity was a very interesting instinct, right? The way we had instinct for survival, instinct for hunger, instinct for thirst. instinct for a lot of different other things. The way we had all those instinct, creativity was one of the instinct. And it began very, very early in the history of human race. It's not something which is completely new, right? You can see the traces of creativity onto the walls of the caves, in the tools that they have developed everywhere. But before design became the profession, this is what the notion of design was. This we are talking about prehistoric and historic times, where design was not disconnected from the manufacturing or the creation of product, where designer was the one who used to design and he was the one who used to create a product. Things were intricately detailed. It was all handcrafted. And then came the industrial revolutions. And that's where the design as a profession came into the picture. Because this was the time where we were saying that now we have to go towards mass manufacturing. We are supposed to create products which are in numbers. We are not anymore creating products which are, a single product and that is exquisitely made for a particular person. Now we are going to create products for masses. And that's where design as a profession started, because now you want someone to think about products which are for masses, which are for a lot of different people. Second, they are supposed to be created and designed so that they can fit and align with the industry and the requirement of the industry. They have to be created into the industry. So the way that designs are happening or the products are designed, they have to fit the system of the industry. So it all started with Industrial Revolution. We have already seen 4 Industrial Revolution. We are already living in the 4th one, which is cyber physical system. And that's what we are talking about today. So if you see, design is never disconnected from manufacturing or from development of the product or from the technology, in fact. At each and every industrial revolution, design has contributed to push the industrial revolution further, to help people with understanding how you can design particular product which can also fit into that particular technology, and it also can be designed as per users. So basically, design is all about not only understanding the user, but also to understand the technology. And that's where, the collaboration happens. So it's not something which is new. It's not something which we are starting right now. Design thinking is not something which is new. Yes, the definition is given very, very recently, but it has been happening from the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. At each and every different Industrial Revolution, designers are the people who have given a direction to a particular technology. If you talk about Second Industrial Revolution, where electricity came into the picture, and you have to convert all the different products. For an example, a kettle, or the way you are washing your clothes, the way you are wiping your floor, or the way you are switching on your lights. Everywhere you need to have a product which can cater to the new technology, which is electricity, and it can also cater to the user. So similarly, at this particular time in which we are living in Industry 4.0, design is very, very essential for development and innovation of this particular system and the products and the systems which are created with this particular technology. So what exactly design thinking is? I divide design thinking into 2 parts, or technically I divide design into 2 parts. One is skill, Second is thinking. Now, most of the time when people talk about design, for them, design is all about skills, right? You have to be good in sketching. You have to be good in rendering. You have to be good with a lot of different skills. But that is one part of design. The another part of design is also based on thinking. The way you are thinking, the way you are observing, analyzing, the way you are creating something through a particular process, and not you are not jumping onto the final outcome. That is all what design thinking is about. So I'll just skip that part. Okay. So design thinking, this is the basic process of design thinking. We start with empathizing with the user. So that is the basic research that we do to understand if we are creating a certain product, for whom we are creating it. The second part is define. So after doing the research, we start understanding that this is what the challenges are. This is what the user is lacking, or this is what a particular product or a system that we are supposed to create for the user is lacking. From there, we define a problem statement or a challenge statement. From there, we start with ideation. The ideation is all about generating ideas, not in a linear manner, but maybe by gathering a lot of people of different fields and then generating ideas. We'll see a small video after this, which will explain the process of design thinking in much better manner. Then comes the prototyping, in which we actually create a prototype for that particular system or a product. Then we test it. Now the whole process is not always in this particular manner or in this particular linear way, though it looks linear. But many of the times when we reach to ideate stage, we understand that in our research, there are certain things which are missing. And without those things, we cannot go forward. So we have to jump to the empathizing stage, from where we are gathering some more information. And again, we start from the scratch. Or many of the times we reach to the prototyping stage and then we figure out that there was something missing at the define stage. We have to go back, refine, and come back again. So the whole design thinking process is not something which is linear, and it doesn't give you the output which is very, very common and which is very, very, analytical, or which is very streamlined kind of an approach. It gives you a very interesting and very out of the box kind of an approach. So a very interesting examples. Okay, we do not notice all these things usually when we are actually using them. You can see the difference between the thinking of a simple ketchup bottle, right? Now, we do not notice this, right? Because finally for us, it's the more important part is ketchup. But when that ketchup during the winter of December or January do not come out of the bottle, we get really irritated, right? And we do not have another bottle. So for that particular frustration, somebody thought that if the ketchup has to actually come down, why the bottle is designed like this? Where is the fundamental of gravity? A simple, very simple, basic funda, right? If the if the ketchup has to come down, why the lid is not placed at the bottom? Similarly, if you see the difference between the left-hand side remote and the Apple remote, I'm not promoting Apple, but yeah, look at the multiple different buttons on top of that remote, and versus a very simple kind of a interface and interaction which is given by the Apple remote. You are still running the same functions. You are still, changing the channels, changing the volume, doing all the different things by these 6 buttons rather than the millions of buttons which are there on the other remote. So this is the power of design thinking. It's not always about thinking that is something huge or something which is completely out of the world, but it's more about understanding the frustration points of the user and working accordingly, whether it's related to technology or if it is related to a simple ketchup bottle, finally the process is kind of similar. Understand the user, understand the challenges, understand the frustration points, and work accordingly. Tarun, the next video.
Tonight, the deep dive. One company's secret weapon for innovation. We went to IDEO, the product design folk, and said, take something old and familiar, like, say, the shopping cart, and completely redesign it for us in just 5 days. ABC News correspondent Jack Smith tells us what happened next.
9 in the morning, day one, and these people have a deadline to meet.
So welcome to the kickoff of the shopping cart project.
This is Palo Alto, California, in the heart of Silicon Valley, and these are designers at IDEO, probably the most influential product development firm in the world. IDEO has designed everything from high-tech medical equipment to the 25-foot mechanical whale in the movie Free Willy and the first computer mouse for Apple, Smith ski goggles, Nike sunglasses, NEC computer screens, hundreds of products we take for granted.
The point is that we're not actually experts at any given area. You know, we're kind of experts on the process of how you design stuff. So we don't care if you give us a toothbrush, a toothpaste tube, a tractor, a space shuttle, you know, a chair. It's all the same to us. We want to figure out how to innovate by using our process, applying it.
Project leader is Peter Skillman, a 35-year-old Stanford engineer. Project leader because he's good with groups, not because of seniority. He's only been at IDEO for 6 years. The rest of the team is eclectic, but that's typical here. Whitney Mortimer, Harvard MBA. Peter Coughlin, linguist. Tom Kelly, Dave's brother, marketing expert. Jane Fulton-Suri, psychologist. Alex Kazaks, 26, a biology major, who's turned down medical school 3 times because he's having too much fun at IDEO. Safety emerges early as an important issue.
22,000 child injuries a year, and so they're hospitalized injuries. I mean, there are many others.
And theft. It turns out a lot of carts are stolen. As the team works, it becomes clear there are no titles here, no permanent assignments.
The other side gives us a lot of help, says, be safe. I'll give you a big red ball on a post, and that says you're a big guy. If you got a ball, you're a senior vice president. You know, what do I get? The desk, the red ball, it's all the same. In a very innovative culture, you can't have a kind of hierarchy of here's the boss and the next person down, the next person down, the next person down, because it's impossible that the boss is the one who's had the insightful experience with shopping carts. It's just not possible.
The team splits into groups to find out firsthand what the people who use, make, and repair shopping carts really think.
Okay, go.
The problem with the plastic cart is the wind catches it. Yeah. And these things have been clocked at 35 across the parking lot.
Man, that's actually a pretty good point. The trick is to find these real experts, and so that you can learn much more quickly than you could by just kind of doing it the normal way and trying to learn about it yourself.
From everything I read, these things aren't that safe either, you know? So probably the seat itself is going to have to be redesigned.
One of the interesting things for me is looking at how people really don't like to let go of the cart, except for the professional shopper, whose strategy is to leave the cart at various places.
3:30 in the afternoon, and the group is back at IDEO. There is no let-up.
Each team is going to demonstrate and communicate and share everything that they've learned today.
A shopping cart has been clocked at 35 miles an hour traveling through a parking lot in the wind.
We were in the store, 2 hours, and it was truly frightening just to see the kind of stuff going on.
You got to designate some people to make damn sure that the store owner's point of view is represented.
After 9 straight hours, the team is tired. They call it a day.
So,
everybody cool?
Well, that's great. Thanks a lot. We had a great time today.
IDEO's mantra for innovation is written everywhere. One conversation at a time. Stay focused. Encourage wild ideas. Defer judgment. Build on the ideas of others.
That's the hardest thing for people to do, is to restrain themselves from criticizing an idea. So if anybody starts to nail an idea, they get the bell.
The ideas pour out and are posted on the walls.
Oh, the blind, the privacy blind. Like when you're buying 6 cases of condoms, no one sees. If it doesn't nest, we don't have a solution.
Organized chaos. It's not organized. What it is it's focused chaos.
Vote with your Post-it, not with an idea that's cool, but with an idea that's cool and buildable. If it's too far out there and it can't be built in a day, then I don't think we should vote on it. Enlightened trial and error succeeds over the planning of lone genius.
Enlightened trial and error succeeds over the planning of the lone genius. If anything sums up IDEO's approach, that is it. Worried that the team is drifting, what can only be called a group of self-appointed adults under Dave Kelly holds an informal side session.
4 or 5 teams. 4 or 5 teams, and we give each team a need area. It becomes very autocratic for a very short period of time in defining what things people are going to work on.
If you don't work under time constraints, you could never get anything done because it's a messy process and go on forever.
Back at the shop, it is 6 o'clock. The 4 mock-ups are ready for showing.
Baskets also can be, if you think you will have more volume, baskets can be put in.
A modular shopping cart you pile hand baskets onto. A high-tech cart that gets you through the traffic jam at checkout.
That you could mount a scanner on the shopping cart so that you as the customer, as you pull it off the shelf, would scan each item.
One that's built around child safety, and another that lets shoppers talk to the supermarket staff remotely.
Yeah, where can I find a yogurt?
But the adults, again, decide more work needs to be done before the mock-ups can be combined into one last prototype.
Why don't we have all the carts come up here for a second?
I think you'd take a piece of each one of these ideas and kind of back it off a little bit and then put it in the design.
The design is still not there. But there's another motto at IDEO: fail often in order to succeed sooner. And some of the team will be up half the night trying to put together a design that finally does work.
There it is! So we took the best elements out of each prototype.
The cart, which is designed to cost about the same as today's carts, is different in every other way.
What do you think?
Well, I'm very proud of the team. I think it's great.
Does this work for you?
Works for me great. Yeah. It's also beautiful.
The cart's wheels turn 90 degrees so it can move sideways. No more lifting up the rear in a tight spot. And you shop in a totally different way. The bags are hung on hooks on the cart's frame. Remember, there is no basket here.
At first, I was a little shocked, but I think you have some fantastic ideas here. It needs a little refining, but I think that it's great. I mean, we would want that.
Taron, we can stop the video.
Really good comments about how we can make this thing better.
A lot of...
Yeah, thanks. So yeah, this video I just wanted you to see, so to understand, it's not like they all were designers. They all were coming from very different fields of very, very different fields, and still by their experiences, by understanding the user, they actually created a shopping cart. So design is not, if you have seen the video carefully, you can see that there are no beautiful sketches, there are no beautiful drawings, right? They all were more of ideas, more of concepts, which have been converted into a prototype. So this is the beauty of design and design thinking. So now we'll talk about integration of design thinking and AI together. So why this is required? Because there has to be a balance, right? The balance between artificial and natural, the balance between science and art. AI is bringing the element of technology, the element of artificialness into the picture, and design brings the element of creativity, element of human thinking, and something which is natural into the picture. So the integration is all about the balance. So how design thinking helps in AI adaptation? By putting people first, focusing on user needs and customer outcomes, partnering smart people with smart technologies, realigning AI technology with innovation, embracing interdisciplinary and interfunctional teams, regularizing enterprise reinvention. You can see how design has helped at each of the level of technology, starting from a simple Walkman to CD player to the MP3 player to the iPod, and finally everything inside a phone. Finally, it's not only about the technology which has contributed, but also the design which has been integrated with the technology, which has created this evolution. Similarly, for any watch, starting from an analog one to the smartwatch. Okay, I think I'll skip the question for now because I think we are running out of our time a bit. But this is how AI and design have changed our lives. If we can see in our own lives and the way we are, dealing with a lot of different things and doing a lot of activities, the way we are making decisions. If we want to buy a TV nowadays, we would not directly go to a shop maybe. We would first do our research in terms of what the reviews are giving us and what are the different options which are available. We have a lot of different websites on which we can compare all the different TVs together. The shopping experience, the way we used to go to the superstore and then buy the things, but COVID has taught everyone to shop online. Travel experience, we already discussed this, the way we used to travel, which used to be very interactive. We used to meet people, we used to ask them about the direction. Nowadays, it's no more important. We have Google Maps, which can become our navigator. The playlist, which we used to have earlier, nowadays we do not require to actually download any of the songs, or we do not need to have 100 different cassettes or CDs for different albums. Everything is on internet. You have your account and you just go to your account. It will remember what you played last time or what you saved. The news. I'm not sure how many of us are still reading the newspaper or how many of us are actually only relying on the newspaper for the news. We are getting news instantly. There is no wait, right? An earthquake happened 2 minutes before and it's all over the internet. It's all over the social media that earthquake has happened. People would be running during the earthquake along with typing that earthquake is happening. Our memory has changed because earlier we used to create that list, the memory list and everything. Now the Alexa is there to remind us that we need to go to the salon and for haircutting or something, or we have a meeting scheduled for this particular time. The customer service experience we already talked about, moment capturing we already talked about, the way we used to share our memories and our precious moments. Earlier we used to have those albums. I still have them, but now the FB is there. There are a lot of different websites on which you are going to put your photos and they will be stored there forever. So that's what the moment sharing is. So now we will talk about the future prospects for integration of AI and design thinking together. Just to give you a small brief about the initiative that is created by WUD. The Artificial Intelligence and Design Innovation Hub was launched by WUD last year. This particular hub is catering a lot of different projects and partnering with a lot of different organizations and institutions as well. For now, we have two partners. One is Hughes Global Education and another is with the Research Foundation, which is into hardcore AI projects and AI research. So for the starting, we had this particular workshop for our own students, which was a 5-day workshop in which was done with along with the foundation, and in which the students came out with multiple different fantastic ideas. Further on, going from there, we also wanted to have something not only for our students, but also for normal people to create awareness about design thinking and AI. And we had this online workshop during the pandemic time, which was based on AI and design thinking only, in which there were people who were not from design background, but they also participated and created amazing ideas. And this is what we are offering in terms of the formal education. So there is a 6-month certificate course, which is going to start from 3rd April. We are collaborating as we are a design school. We can provide the expertise in terms of design thinking. And for the technology and AI-based academics and AI-based courses, we are also partnering with many faculties with IIM and IIT. And then there is 1-year diploma program, which will have end of which we will be giving diploma to the participants. That is a weekend program kind of a thing, which will run only on the weekends. And that is in collaboration with the Foundation. So now what are the future prospects in terms of the career options for the students for this integrated AI and design thinking? If we talk, and it's not limited to only creative fields or not limited to only design fields. If you talk about architecture and construction, there are softwares in architecture which are running with the help of AI. We already discussed how many countries are constructing their buildings with 3D printing. There are robots which are helping in terms of finding out the problems in a building. So you have a building and then you have a system. So if there is a leakage at any point in the building, the system will tell you that the exact point of leakage is that. So you just open up that much of part and you repair it and it's done. So instead of finding the problem, the system is already giving you that these kind of, and at this particular location, this particular problem is happening right now. In terms of product design and manufacturing, we all are using various different products which are integrated with AI. There are a lot of researches which are happening for user and market surveys and everything. In terms of manufacturing, the defect identification is also happening through supervised learning. We are having products which are 3D printed. So there is one prediction that in near future, the subtractive technology in which you are, subtracting something from a certain product like a wood, you have to have a block of a wood and then you carve it out. So you are subtracting the material from the block. Instead of that, it will be completely taken over by additive manufacturing, which is like 3D printing or more AI-driven printing, so that you are printing the addition. You are not subtracting anything, but you are adding the material on top of the material that is already there. So that is the additive technology which is happening, and 3D printed prototype and products are already there in the market. In terms of graphic and communication, apps, websites, AI-based, AI-integrated website, AI-integrated apps are completely not even the future, it is the present, right? Fashion and merchandising is completely changing because we can have customized apparel which are generated by AI integrated software, which can give us beautiful forms. The way we are shopping for fashion is completely changed. You can actually see yourself onto the website, onto that particular screen, wearing that particular garment, and you can see that how it is going to look on you. The new age material which can be handled by AI is also coming into fashion. Visual art and design, visual and digital art also, in terms of restoring old artifacts, AI is helping. creating new forms, creating digital art, and creating digital graphic is the digital art is completely new kind of a program which has started by WD as well. Design strategy and innovation is another program which is focusing on AI-based business and marketing, where we are talking about AI systems as human resources, technology-based innovation strategy, because business and marketing is something which is definitely going to be there as if you want to grow your company in terms of innovation. Design can lead you towards innovation, but how and in which direction that innovation should go, that has to be driven by the marketing people. So the marketing and business people also needs to go through design thinking courses nowadays. Banking and finance, we already discussed how it is integrating. If you need to create, everything is happening online nowadays, right? I hardly go to a bank. I can do all my tasks online, and for that you need designers who can understand the user, who can understand the emerging technology and create the websites for you, which can cater in a better manner to your users and to your customers. Entertainment, we all are, I think during at least the COVID time, we all are obsessed with lot of entertainment. Netflix or Amazon Prime or different channels that we are getting are giving us AI-enabled entertainment options. 3D animations are coming into the picture. AR and VR is coming into the picture. Multi-sensory game and sport, in which AI can actually understand your gesture and you can actually become a character inside a particular game. Healthcare, we already talked about this. It's everywhere. People are actually putting a lot of resources and money into this because this is the future, right? We all are living into a traumatic kind of a situation and we do not want to go through it again. So there are a lot of different researches which are happening where AI can actually assist the doctors and medical professionals in preventing some of the diseases or curing some of the diseases, helping with the operations, helping with generating new medicines for a lot of diseases. Design for all is another emerging area, and that is not emerging area also, it is a need, right? Because we only think about the normal people, but what about people who have certain kind of challenges in terms of a physical challenge or a mental challenge? So here also AI and design integration is coming into the picture to create products and systems which can be for everyone, not only for a normal person, but it can also help the people who are a bit challenged in certain manner. So I will not stop here. I think we will go towards the demo workshop, which will be more interesting. So this was it from my side in terms of the presentation. Next, I will be handing it over to Astha and Rohit, who will be giving you a hands-on demo. Again, this session will be very, very interactive. So it will be very interesting if you can actually use the chat box and give a lot of answers and interact a lot. So this is a small demo session which will be conducted by Astha and Rohit. So Astha, over to you. Thank you so much. And after that, we will be going towards the question and answer round. So if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat box. Yeah, Astha, over to you.
Thank you. I am sharing my screen. Is the worksheet visible?
Yes, yes, yes.
All right. So as an extension, you already know about design thinking process. Aditi ma'am spoke about it. So as an extension to it, we would be working on Miro. So this is one tool. Like this, there are several others. Mural is one. Google Jamboard is another one. So this is a framework on which we will be working. You can type in your answers and I will be filling it simultaneously on this. So first I'll tell you what is this all about. So this is a kind of worksheet that we have prepared on Miro board. It's a very interactive board, as many of us can simultaneously write, type, use icons or these post-it notes. This is a great tool in helping us to generate design thinking process such as system mapping, brainstorming, brain writing, various other techniques which I'll be talking about. So right now we are working on mapping technique. So first, you can see 3 boxes. So this is my format. There are various formats available. I have specifically chosen this one since we are kind of dealing with the entire system map that we have generated. Then challenges, then we'll look out for the solutions. So first box, the green one here is the system map. So what is the system map here? Depending on the product or service that we are creating a design process for. So this is maybe a brainstorming session. So we have actors or stakeholders. So first I have kind of jotted down who are the main actors or stakeholders in the entire process. So one is, I have tried to, I am a designer myself, but then I have tried to step into the shoes of a counselor and how and what elements would be interdependent on each other. So that is the map that we have created. So child, school, counseling and parent are the major actors here. So when I refer to actors mean the main people involved or the main stakeholders involved in the map. So this is a journey. For example, the keywords that first comes to our mind, we jot down those first, which help us in creating a system map. So this was not created all of a sudden. It was something like which we have picked keywords for. So first, child. Obviously, child, is concerned about the higher education. He's concerned about deciding his career choice. And merit is, so I'll zoom in a little bit for it to be easier to be read. So merit, a child obviously thinks about, deciding career choices after his higher school, to which career choice he or she should pursue. Then school, of course, the school gives him the necessary infrastructure or equips him with the skill sets, necessary for the child to grow in terms of career development. And the school provides the necessary environment, also various seminars and workshops to basically raise awareness. So these words are kind of interdependent with each other because awareness is raised in a school environment for a child by the seminar or workshop conducted by industry experts, so that a child who is thinking about, let's say, going into a career related to animation, so he gets influenced. He doesn't have anybody at his home who can probably suggest him about animation, but since it's very dynamic in a creative field, so he would obviously want the expertise of a very skilled person or an field expert. So the seminar workshop provide him that kind of an ambience. Then going to the next major stakeholder is the parent. So this is the entire journey that a child, it's a journey mapping for a child which he covers while deciding about his career choices. So parent, next is parent. Obviously, parent is the connecting element. Parent is a supporting or a decision maker when it comes to a child in terms of which career to pursue. And parent acts as a facilitator, maybe yes, also in financial terms. So I'll again zoom in a little bit. Yeah. So like this, we are not restricted to a certain box of certain size, but these are just some keywords. So I am just telling you how we create a mapping journey while we are studying. So here we wanted to study what are the challenges faced by a counselor. So before coming on directly to the challenges, we wanted to see what is the interdependence of each of the elements to each other. Okay, is my screen visible?
Yes, Asna.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, so counseling. Again, the major element is counseling. 1 second. I'll just give me 1 minute. Yeah, so sorry for the disturbance. Yeah, so next is the counseling. So obviously certain keywords that we have mapped over here with counseling are motivation. Obviously many a times, you know, a child might want to pursue a career into some other creative field for which he might not get, you know, insights or proper inputs from the parent or maybe the school. So for that purpose, a counselor acts as a motivator. So from therein, certain motivation comes so that he, you know, is clarity. Then when I speak about motivation, obviously the clarity in terms of, you know, the decision that he wants to take. Then awareness. So through aptitude tests, obviously, you know, various tests conducted by the counselors, you know, help the student in analyzing for which field or for which career option. Sometimes he might have 2-3 various other, you know, very different options in mind. So which is the correct one for him and which he should actually realistically pursue gets clear with these aptitude tests. Then how the entrance exam, you know, is going to be, and various other scholarship like methods available to him, which he might not know through his school or maybe the parents, but the counselor aptly provides him or equips him with this kind of information. So this is a little system map or the, you know, the journey map for a child, thinking about the other interdependent factors. So this is one that we have created. So this can be created for any product, any service. Right now we are thinking about, you know, counseling the child for the career options, but it can be done. So this is the process that we usually follow while we are, you know, doing our design methodology as well. So now next thing. So some of the challenges that we have highlighted. So we have tried to think about some, and I would really encourage, I would really request also if you could type, you know, some of the challenges. So some challenges that we have mentioned here are, you know, the parent-child conflict of interest, accessibility from remote location. Many a times, you know, a child might have, you know, liking towards a particular field of his area of interest, but resources might not be accessible to him or her, the place where he resides. So that could be a challenge to actually, you know, if he wants to visit the counselor or speak to a counselor. So lack of, you know, resources and lack of awareness. One can be financial constraints. One can be the, you know, rapidly increasing, you know, competition when it comes to the entrance tests and exams. More and more students are applying for even, you know, fields like design, which were not that popular maybe 2 decades ago, 1 decade ago, but now it's gaining immense popularity. So these could be the challenges. So I would just stop the screen.
I have already published the poll, so we are getting the results.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think lack of awareness is winning for now.
So there is also one others mentioned. So if there is any other, you can type that in the chat box.
I think peer pressure can also be one of the challenge, because many of the times students, they would like to select stream which their friends are selecting, and to break that particular notion would be a difficult task.
Absolutely.
Being counselor, I think you guys can actually contribute a lot.
Exactly.
In terms of what kind of challenges you are facing when a child is coming to you for any sort of advice. So apart from these challenges, is there anything that you want to add? So somebody is saying dreams versus reality. There are a lot of options. Then there is lack of self-confidence.
Okay, I've already filled these.
Then multiple options confuse the child.
Multiple options creating confusion. Okay. Any other challenges?
Then there is having the right aptitude.
Okay, all right, great. So now we have a lot of challenges listed.
There are many, but I think many of them are overlapping. So I'm not saying every challenge that is coming. But yeah, these are the major headings for them.
Yes, so we can have actually these in our framework. So as I mentioned, our framework is not restricted to only the template that I have chosen. There are many other in Miro. Depending on the kind of mapping that we want to do, mind mapping, we can choose any of the templates, or we can create a template. So the one I'm working on, I thought it could be apt for this activity. So so we have a lot of challenges now. The next part to the challenges is what can be the possible AI-based solutions. So we have tried to map two. So when we have this board into picture now, so we have a little clarity of these keywords. Now, one AI-based solution could be, so can we design tests for accessing the mood or motivation? So we have written lack of self-confidence, somebody suggested. So can we design more and more tests assessing the mood or motivation level of student using a mainly AI technology or an app? So that cannot be obviously 100% accurate. So right now we're just discussing what can be the possible solutions. Might be workable or might not be workable. So we are not challenging on those factors right now, but just as a part of our brainstorming technique, we are just creating a few technology based solutions which we can think of. One could be that we have listed here is, can we create awareness through AI where student can see various options and prepare his higher studies accordingly, or his mindset accordingly. So various other challenges we have, like peer pressure, dream versus reality. So any AI based, so now that you have certain insights into what is AI and AI the basics, so how I would request, like, you can type it in the chat box if any possible solution might be workable, might not be workable. That currently we are not seeing what's the workable factor, but yeah, we can definitely brainstorm here. So if you could think about any such ideas, and maybe I can type here.
We can have some kind of aptitude test which can be finally judged by AI instead of humans. So the aptitude the way we are seeing aptitude might be a bit different from the way the machines might see it. So in a way, AI, based on that test result, AI can give you, let's say, 5 different options from which finally further on the human can decide in terms of after interacting with the student.
Okay, that way I think the results could be more consistent as well. Any other AI based solution for the challenges? If anybody wants to type in the chat box.
Asa, another has come, which is AI system which can help students to ease peer pressure through interaction.
Okay.
Then some websites where complete information about various careers can be given. Interesting. So one very interesting fact or a solution has come, which is AI is not known to everyone. So maybe first we can make people aware about AI. Interesting. A platform for a child to be honest and open. So that can help in terms of choosing the right career option and not only going towards peer pressure maybe. An instant chatbot for students to help them know the difference between dream and reality.
Okay, so we can actually add more of our boxes here. I'm just copying. We can add more. Aditi ma'am, can you please repeat the last one, please?
I think there is an echo, so then I'm switching on the mic. So it's instant chatbot for students to help them know the difference between dream and reality. Also, one very interesting and very futuristic solution, take on avatars of jobs in virtual reality so students can try out careers. Very, very interesting. It could actually become a game. Avatars for jobs in virtual reality. Time management and planners, that is also very interesting. I think there are a lot of different options and they all are very, very interesting.
Yes, definitely we have got a lot of solution ideas.
So, Asa, would you like to conclude?
Yeah, so this was one of the brainstorming technique. There is another called Scamper. That is also for improving the product and the services. That could also be implemented instead of the one that we chose to do here. This was a simpler one, so that's why we went ahead with this. Otherwise, Scamper technique, it actually it is often difficult to come up with new ideas when you're trying to develop or improve a service or a product. So this is also very effective when it comes to that. It helps in generating ideas. So similar to this, it is kind of a technique. So S stands for substitute, C stands for combine, A stands for adapt, M stands for modify, P is for put to another use, E is for eliminate, and R is for reverse. So by these we actually so that technique, actually you have certain questions that you could ask. So first, if you're referring to substitute, the S of Scamper, so what resources could you substitute or swap to improve the service? So this kind of questions could be asked. That is based on asking questions, not like keywords like this. So that was just this was just one of the techniques. There is also another technique for design thinking, many more actually. So yeah, so I would like to conclude now. Thank you everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Astha. So I think there are a few questions which we would address. Sabah Ahmed is asking how design thinking can be implemented in the school. So Sabah, design thinking at many schools are already being implemented, not in terms of a mainstream courses, but definitely in terms of the workshops. But you already know that there is a new education policy which is coming out, right? And it is giving a lot of focus on iterative thinking, creative way of learning, a way of learning which is based on exploration and which is not based on the compulsion. And I think with this particular change, if it is actually implemented effectively, design thinking will automatically be part of the mainstream curriculum as well. And there are a lot of people who are already working in this particular direction. There are a lot of organizations also which are taking and conducting these kind of workshops in school for now. But if we are looking at the future, I think NEP will definitely push this particular, amalgamation of regular school education along with design thinking. The next question is by Seema Vedak. She's asking, is this process also applicable to the service industry where there is no product? Seema, definitely. Design is again not limited to any product or building or only websites. It can be actually implemented anywhere, starting from a system where you are talking about a system of railways and how to create and how to actually design a system through which a traveler can actually, starting from the booking of the ticket to reaching to the destination point, what exactly the system should be. A very good example of a good system is Delhi Metro. I would say that very, very proudly, because you can see the difference between a normal railway, though you can say the normal railway is a national level kind of a system. But yeah, finally, system is a system. It's just about thinking about that particular system in a certain manner. Why metro is clean? Why metro is so systematic? Why there are, why at the time of the COVID also, you can see the way the whole metro system is working. It's fantastic. So wherever different way of thinking, and thinking not in terms of only the system, but from the perspective of the user is involved, definitely you can change the system. The next question is, may I know the criteria required to opt for this course? Terence, I'm not pretty sure exactly which course you are talking about, but I am considering that you are talking about the AI and design course. So for now, the criteria is that it's always better if you have done your bachelor's in maybe in some technology related background, so that you already have a prerequisite for it. But for now, it is also open for a lot of people, because we are starting with very basics of design and AI both together. So it could be relevant for most of the people who have already done certain kind of bachelor's, and if they want to go towards this particular course. So it could be relevant for many people, but I think you can also check this again by calling on the number. I think the marketing people might provide you the number. Anushri is asking, okay, that's not a question.
We do have a question from Nilima and Smitha that who all can pursue this AI and design thinking, and how can we arrange workshops for school students?
Okay, so workshop for school children, I think WUD is already working with a lot of different schools for providing this kind of workshop. And if you are interested and if you want to do it, you can always call on our marketing numbers, and we'll definitely provide you with assistance. Who all can pursue this AI and design thinking? I think, Nilima, I already gave answer for that. It's open for all for now, at least for the 6 months course. It is kind of open for all. For the diploma program, we are still deriving exact prerequisite and we are still on the thinking mode, and that is how we haven't given the final date for starting off the course. But for the short term, which is the 6 month course, I think everyone, because it will be a very, very basic one, so everyone can opt for it.
We have a question from Bhagyalakshmi. Is math compulsory for 12th for this course?
No, not at all. Not at all. See, also another thing is there are specific courses which are related to AI and design, but along with that, in the regular curriculum of WD also, like if you see in product design or design strategy and management and animation and game design and lot of different industrial design also. So in all these different programs, it is open for all, and there are components of AI and design. So design is a mainstream, definitely, because it's product design. So design will be a mainstream kind of a course and mainstream kind of a learning. But because we are looking towards the future and we are also teaching and we want our students to be futuristic, so there are a lot of AI based components into it. So even the school students who want to pursue this kind of a career, they may not only go towards the technology oriented programs, right? They can come to design, and design can give them understanding. Definitely the expertise will remain in design, but the components of AI are there in many of the courses.
We have a question from Ayush Johari. Suggest few tools which can be explored online for AI and design.
Can you please repeat?
Suggest few tools.
Okay. Ayush, now I would not say that there are some, specific and ready-made tools. There are a lot of different methods, but to understand those methods, I think you should start with understanding the basic process of design. The 5-step process that we discussed, at each and every step and at each and every stage, there are certain tools which can enhance your understanding of that particular stage. So I can suggest you few books if you are really interested. You can start with, there is one book called Change by Design, which is by Tim Cook, who is CEO of IDEO. So you can start with that particular book. That will give you a lot of understanding about, design thinking methodology.
All right. Thanks, Aditi. I think that's all were the questions. So let's conclude the session for today. Thank you, Aditi and Asa, for being with us. And
I'm very sorry, Rohit had some death in his family, so he was not able to be there, and even I was not aware. So he just messaged me. So he couldn't be there, and that's how this Asa has to take this particular workshop. But yeah,
not a problem. We do understand, and I would really thank Aditi and Asa for conducting this wonderful session. I hope everyone had a good recovery from this session, and there was a lot of learning and experience which was shared. And so one thing I would request everyone, so if in case if you like this session, and you learned a lot about AI and design thinking, I would appreciate if you can leave your reviews on our page, as well as also for I know a lot of counselors who have done our GCC certification course, and for the people who are aspiring to become counselors and want to go ahead with the certification course, they can request for a callback. We have already shared a link in the chat. So if in case you're looking for a certification course and you want to become a counselor, you can apply for the GCC certification course. So link is in the chat. You can request callbacks for the same. Thank you everyone for having us, and have a lovely evening ahead. Thank you, Aditi. Thank you, Asaf. And
thank you so much, Tarun. Thank you, everyone. Have a great weekend ahead.
Yep, same to you.
Bye-bye. See you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.